One of the things that you always assume is, hey, kids are playing so much. They're always on their phone. They're always playing games. And the reality actually is we see on the report that kids are the least active mobile gamers out of all of those different demographics.
What is winning in games in 2024? Hello and welcome to Growth Masterminds. My name is John here. What's happening in gaming this year? Apparently, old people are gaming more than young people. Casuals growing everywhere. The market as a whole is growing. That sounds really good. Daily engagement jumped back up after a bit of a decline last year. I recently saw that Adjoe put out a Mobile Games Index 2024. I wanted to know more. So to chat, we have Adjoe's Director of Growth, Carly, and I just remember I didn't ask her how to pronounce her last name. Carly, how do you say your last name?
Ostasiewski. It's
I'm calling you Carly.
yeah, you said call me Carly. It totally works.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
you have a last name that seems kind of Polish. You're actually American, lived in the UK, and now you're living in Germany. Did I get that all right?
You got it right. It's a little bit of a trip around the world.
Awesome. Awesome. Carly, so happy to have you here today. You did this big report. It's based on whack loads of data. What was the most surprising thing you learned about gaming in 2024?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing you could always say is I'm always surprised, first of all, how many mobile gamers there are and what kind of demographics are playing these games. When you think about a mobile gamer, you think, it's probably a kid or maybe it's a college student between classes. But really, there's engagement across the board in every kind of demographic, whether you're under 20, 30 years old, or 40 and above. And the surprising thing for me is always that people between 40 and 50 are massively into mobile gaming. They're spending a lot of time playing. And I just think about like my mom playing games and I'm like, I guess she does do it. I guess I support games. And so kind of the connection of the people you know with the mobile games that you're working with is always a big surprise for me.
We have mobile to thank for that, right? That
Yeah.
wasn't the case before mobile. When you had to have a console or when it was on a PC or the thing, then gaming was, it was pretty, you had to be kind of hardcore or you had to be a kid or a young person or something like that. With the advent of mobile, everyone's a gamer. It's unbelievable.
For sure. And I think with those kind of thinking about each demographic, one of the things that you always assume is, hey, kids are playing so much. They're always on their phone. They're always playing games. And the reality actually is we see on the report that kids are the least active mobile gamers out of all of those different demographics. And with with two exceptions, actually, the first one being that within the report, we looked at the users' data on how much time people are spending playing mobile games by each mobile gaming category. And kids are actually the least engaged of them. There's two categories where they kill it, and that would be playing action games and also adventure games. I don't know if that would surprise you at all, but I have some theories and reasons behind why I think that's possible.
It does surprise me, and I want to hear some of those theories. And I'm wondering, maybe we overschedule kids, right? You're in school, you got after school activities, you got sports, you got homework, you got so many things to do, no time for fun anymore. I don't know. Tell me your theories.
Well, first you got to make room for TikTok. That's what you got to make room for. But for the mobile gaming, basically why we see that, I mean, like you said, there's a lot of different noise for kids. It's the social channels at school. It's hanging out with their friends. It could be a lot of different reasons. But for the two demographics where they're playing a lot more, if you look at the different types of games in those categories and those clusters, then you say, okay, it makes more sense. So for example, on the index, we found that one of the top mobile games is Roblox, and that is an adventure category game. And that is why the younger demographic is playing, is having the highest time spent in this category. I don't know if you know much about Roblox yourself, but
I do. And my son is still a bit, I mean, he's in his 20s. He's an engineer right now. He's still big in Minecraft, right? Probably dabbled a little bit in Roblox. That's certainly, it's kind of my idea is that Roblox is kind of Minecraft for the younger set. But what's super interesting to me about Roblox, it's not just a game, right? It's a builder platform. It's an environment. It's a world. So many things are happening there.
Yeah, no, for sure. And in what's also cool about it is this escape, like you said, it's this builder, this different world. We're also seeing that with it, everybody kind of wants a piece of Roblox, and they also see the value in connecting with this younger demographic. I read something the other day that there's like 70 million daily active users on the game and the platform, and 60% of them are under the age of 16. So that is a huge portion of that population. And people see the opportunity there. I think this week alone, we see that brands are even trying to break into into the Roblox platform to connect with these kids. For example, did you see on IKEA's opening their own store?
I'm quitting my job. I'm quitting my job. I'm going to go work for IKEA and Roblox, just have fun all day long, serve virtual meatballs. I don't know, in a virtual kitchen.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's probably where the kids will start working as well, because it's like I'm already in Roblox, might as well get paid to do it. So
Exactly. It's
yeah.
minimum wage, but it's a game, so it can't be that bad. Let's talk a little bit broader, and then we'll go down into some of the details as well. What were some of the best bits of news for gaming publishers? It looks like engagement is up.
Yeah, I would definitely say that. I mean, last year was a tough year for a lot of publishers. We saw a lot of headlines. One of the most important facts from the report was that we saw a 22% increase in the time spent. People are spending 22% more time playing mobile games this year. And I think there's a little bit of story behind that makes a lot of sense. I mean, if you think about it, during the pandemic, we saw that such an insane increase in the number of mobile games people are playing, the amount of time they're spending in mobile games, which led to gaming companies really thinking about how can we push more and more and more. So we saw an increase in number of games being released and all different innovation across the board here. And once the world reopens and people kind of head backwards to their normal behavior, their normal user behavior, of course, we're going to see a decrease in the number of games people are playing, as well as the time that they're actually spending, and it starts to normalize. So I think that's what we saw in last year's report, is that these numbers decreased, and in the industry really had to readjust and think about, okay, how are we going to address this? And that's when we started seeing people focusing more and more back onto their legacy games and really focusing on fine-tuning the products that they know are to be successful and taking a little bit less chances in the creation of game.
You also saw a significant shift in monetization between in-app purchases and advertising. Talk about that.
Yeah, for sure. So with and this is where we're working with Statista. So just for the report, Adjoe's main focus is to provide the data, the user level data based on our time spent. We are able to see the amount of time people are spending. But our sister, or down the street, we have Statista also based in Hamburg, and they were able to provide us with market data, which basically showed that we're going to see an increase. We see an increase of around 7% on growth in terms of the revenue that mobile games are producing. So it's not just about us springing back up in terms of how much time people are spending in the game, but also the monetization is becoming more powerful. And again, this is another kind of interesting industry shift. I don't know. I've been working in the industry for the past 5 years. And previously, when you thought about mobile games when you joined, you thought about, I'm making a game, people are going to love it. I am not going to put ads into my game. It is going to ruin the experience and distract the users. Well, when you look at this revenue growth over the past years, you see that one of the biggest reasons for growth is the increase in in-app ad revenue. And that's actually what has caused the biggest growth from 2022 into 2023. And we continue to, Statista is continuing to project that this number will increase.
That's super interesting. I recently saw that Matej Lankarich posted about that, where there's been this perception if I put ads in, it hurts retention. And he
Mhm.
said that's actually not true. And he shared a bunch of data that showed that. Of course, it depends how you do it. You can definitely
Yeah.
put ads in and destroy retention if you do it wrong. But if you do it well and it's integrated and it makes sense and people actually want to get the stuff that they are watching an ad for, it can be done very well, in fact. Cool. You saw some interesting stuff about engagement. We already talked about, I kind of mentioned older people, and you mentioned that as well. The demographic, I think 40 to 50, gaining a lot.
Mhm.
Kids were a little less than that, but up in some areas. You also saw that women's engagement was up, correct?
Mhm. Yeah, we did notice that a lot as well. And I think that also goes, and also I'm working on an ad network side, basically. So we work with a lot of mobile games. And what I've actually found to be such an interesting trend is a lot of our gaming advertisers are asking for this, for targeting more towards females. So leading into the report, I was like, something's going on with women and also some and users above the age of 40, because there's been a lot of different focuses for mobile game. But I think if you think about the different demographics where these women are playing more, it's even more interesting. We see that like with casino games and games with older or with more older demographic, that women are playing more often, and it's looking more at like casino or more casual game that people could kind of just pick up and play, as opposed to like a strategy game where you really have to sit down and spend more time playing, and that tends to lead more towards a male audience. So I think it's a nice balance of looking at the type of game that's driving the growth in terms of women. Women are playing more of these casual and casino apps that you can just kind of pick up and play, whereas male users will probably pick closer a more of a strategy game and fewer of them to play. And when they're going to sit down, it's going to be a different experience.
I really wonder how monetization is going to follow that trend, because
Mhm.
you mentioned that RPGs reign supreme in revenue in the report. And so you see that a lot. 34% of global revenue, I think, is a number you've got. Action and
Yeah.
strategy also showing their strength, you mentioned. But as you have women playing more and more, and as you have older demographics playing more and more, they
Theory is like,
was Siri. I'm literally in do not disturb mode, and Siri has announced the time to me twice during this podcast, once during the prep and once now. What the heck?
what's airtime?
I'll get back on track here. It's pretty interesting to see because older people have money.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what it comes down to. It's where the disposable income is, for sure. And also something that's interesting is with these categories, with casino games, more recently, we just talked about the increase in ad monetization. I'm seeing more and more casino games incorporating the rewarded videos and things like that, which I find super interesting as well. Because again, when I started 5 years ago, you really think about huge games or SciPlay or all these different big casino companies, Playtika, things like that. They never really had rewarded videos and things incorporated into that. So there's a nice growth in how they're approaching their monetization as well. So it's not just, even though there is more disposable income, it's not just focused on getting it through IAP. It's also through really generating the quality ad.
Wow. It's really interesting because I was just thinking, okay, I didn't know that. I didn't see that coming. That's cool. I was going like, next we'll see the retailers put that in their app. And I'm like, no. And then I thought, well, actually it is happening. If you're DoorDash or if you're Uber, if you're Lyft, you are actually putting ads. It's a
Well,
little different kind of ad, but
it's different. It's different, but actually, it's funny you say that because if you start to look at these big companies, Uber, PayPal, I don't know, I guess you have Wolt as well, but they're all becoming ad platform.
hmm
It's no
retail media.
longer it's no longer just delivery, or everything's kind of transitioning into becoming a super app. And what's going to come next is gaming is going to be added in there, because first you see the trend with Roblox, but then give it some time before Uber Arcade appears into their monetization mix.
You heard it here first.
You heard
Uber
it.
Arcade. Awesome. Excellent. Let's talk a little bit about regions. What are you seeing across the regions? Maybe EMEA, North America, APAC?
Yeah, sure. So one of the most interesting trends we're seeing is that European players are actually the most engaged players. So they are leading the way with the average daily app usage time.
So
So
they get the most vacation and they spend the most time in games. I understand why you moved to Europe.
yeah, I'm gonna stay here because I have a lot more fun. I got a lot of more. You know what? I got a lot of more time to spend playing games.
Wow.
Yeah. And also something interesting, going back to North America is that adventure games are really growing. And I know we talked briefly about like the trend growing for the younger demographic, but we're seeing that there was a 57% increase in adventure games in the past year. And so it's it's really driving. I really think that the younger users in this demographic also are driving the growth, as well as older demographics starting to adapt to playing these kind of types of games. And maybe we'll see also next edition that the Roblox demographics are also increasing, and then me and you and my mother are using the app.
Or working for IKEA inside it. It will
Yeah,
be incredibly interesting to see where Roblox continues to grow because their demographic is going to grow up with them, right? And
yeah,
they are expanding as their demographic is growing up. And we've seen with Minecraft that that gameplay is extremely durable later in life. It's not just teenagers, it's people building stuff in there, and watching videos of people make stuff or do stuff there as they're significantly older. So it'd be super interesting to see how
mhm,
Roblox, which is a more centralized thing than Minecraft, and they're working on building kind of a metaversey component to it.
yeah.
It'd be super interesting to see where that goes. Maybe let's end here.
Okay.
As we look forward to the rest of 2024, 2025, where do you think the biggest opportunity lies?
I think the biggest opportunity is how gaming is really going to blend together with everyday app usage. So we see that I think 60% of the overall App Store revenue is coming from gaming, and how other kinds of brands and apps are going to align more with games to really harness this growing consumer interest. Because at the end of the day, people are on their phone constantly, and if they're playing games, how people can interact more, whether it's through this Roblox experience or whether we someday have an Uber arcade, or whether it's Candy Crush aligning with Prada to bring more brand experiences into game. I think that people and brands are really going to see there's a huge opportunity to bring gaming into every consumer's experience. And that is what I want to see is more on how different companies are going to partner with games.
Wow, it's kind of cool. I mean, the words that
Yeah.
came to mind as you were speaking there was the future is going to be this big smush.
Yeah.
Gonna have everything. You
Like,
might have your retail, you might have your ads, you might have your gaming, you might have your communication. You mentioned the Uber app, the super app kind of idea, which hasn't really caught on the way it has in China
yeah.
specifically. But you're right that we're sort of getting it via the back door as these big apps almost become platforms and offer more things under their own big tents, right?
Yeah.
That's
And
interesting.
how these games are really becoming intertwined with the everyday consumer behavior. That's what's going to also drive the gameplay higher and higher and higher. Because if you're starting to experience games, for example, with Candy Crush and products, when you're starting to kind of blur the lines between shopping and gaming, then the users are going to spend more time in these kind of apps like Candy Crush as well. So I'd like to see how that impacts the time spent in these mainstream mobile games as well.
Very cool. Very cool. Thank you so much for taking this time, Carly.
Okay, cool. Thanks. It was nice to meet you.